Hey everybody, at the movies with Philm Brown here. Smokey and I kind of settled down in this empty auditorium here. Whenever there's an empty space, we kind of plot ourselves down and decide to do a little intro. Tonight's film, serious. So I guess I gotta take the old hat off and take on the serious mode. This is the Nibelungen, or the Siegfried film by Fritz Lang, 1924. Now, you know, people
very serious.
Yeah, it's very serious. You give Peter Jackson a lot of credit for doing that Tolkien thing, right? Doing the Lord of the Rings, all three of those. Did a really nice job on them, I'm guessing. But you got to give Fritz Lang a little bit of credit, too, in taking on the Nibelungen, or the Ring trilogy. This is not Wagner, okay? He's going back to the original source and dealing with that great myth of the German culture and so on. The story of Siegfried and Kriemhild, who, let's talk a little bit about the old fella there, Siegfried, who was played by Paul Richter.
Boy, this is over my head.
Oh, well, sorry about that. Siegfried is one of the great heroes of the Aryan myth. He basically had all kinds of toils and feats that he had to do along his journeys on his way to meeting and falling in love with Kriemhild. He destroys and slays a dragon. Now, the dragon looks fantastic in this thing. Special effects are really well done. Edgar Ulmer is credited as being part of the special effects team. You know Edgar Ulmer from Detour, Bluebeard, and a whole series, Amazing Transparent Man. Remember some of those great films that he's later going to do. Likewise, the trick photography that you find in this film is done by Eugene Shufton, and Shufton does a lot of the various process shots you see in here. That process is often called the Shufton process that you will see in this film. The dragon scenes are nice, the scenes where he meets the elves and the ogres and the giant crown that's being worked on. All of these are really nicely done. Not just for 1924 standards. It kind of bugs me. People say, oh, for there, 1924, that's pretty good. So, I mean, they're thinking like if they have stick figures or something like that, that's good enough. No, this stuff looks really nice, and it really still, I think, looks fine and holds up. The screenplay is really kind of nicely done because it takes a very large myth. And rather than, well, you look at Wagner taking that myth, he does it in 3 operas. Okay, Fritz Lang and Thea von Harbou, his wife, okay, they take it down into 2 movies, Siegfried, which we're watching tonight, 1924, and Kriemhild's Revenge. Kind of gives it away a little bit. There's something not too good that's going to happen to old Siegfried as this thing goes along. But if you know your myth of the Ring trilogy or the Nibelungen, you're going to be able to probably already know how this thing plays out. That's the thing about this. What takes a person to have guts to do this is taking on a myth that's well known. It's like a person saying, I'm going to remake The Wizard of Oz, or like Peter Jackson saying, I'm remaking King Kong. That, you've got to have a lot of guts, because you're taking on something that everybody knows and has a great deal of respect in, and they know it like the back of their hands. And Fritz Lang took on the same thing and did an admirable job in putting this thing to camera. One of the beauties about Siegfried is he's a bit like Achilles. Remember, Achilles was immortal except for one small part on his body, and that was the Achilles heel.
Oh, you gave it away.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, But it's been an old story, Smokey, so you should have read up on that. But the thing is that Siegfried is that after he has slain the dragon, okay, he is instructed by fate to take a bath in the blood of the dragon. And this bathing process is going to make him, sort of superhero-like. He cannot be destroyed. He's invincible. And what happens, unfortunately, in these myths, you always have to have sort of if you have an invincible guy that can never be destroyed, it's kind of like, not too interesting, right? But if you have an invincible guy who has a weakness, then all of a sudden you have something interesting. Now, when he's taken that bath, what happens is this leaf falls down off of a tree and lands on his shoulder. So he has a kind of an Achilles shoulder. Okay, so it's the Siegfried shoulder in this case. And, of course, you know that that's where his downfall eventually is going to come about. Well, folks, going to have a lot of fun with this film. Siegfried, 1924, Fritz Lang, very important director. Roll 'em, Smokey.